Welcome, Ji. Now I am going to discuss on the enum. Okay, the enum in Java. It's come from Java 1.5. Okay, so enum is what enum? First discuss why enum. Why you need enums for the type safety. Whenever you want your first things enums object are thread safe. Okay, whenever you are creating any enum object that are thread safe. Okay, so enums uh, one the major things we are using for the type safety. Which types of object I am using, that would be the thread safe. Okay, the second point is that enum is defined for a fixed set of object or constants. When you know we have only two types of object or three types of constant, yeah, five types of constant. When you know that we have a this fixed size of like directions direction have four directions. Okay, east, west, east, west, north, south. So these four direction, direction is always four. So this four this is the direction is fixed. Four are constant. So in this way we know all the possible value of the particular object. For directions, direction might be north, south, east, west. So in this case we can define enum. So enum help us to define the set of constants that we know previously. And enums objects are by default statics and final. Okay, all the enums object you defining inside enums object, that's all the by default final and statics. Means ki all the object you are defining inside the enum, that can be accessed by the enum name, and that would be the final. And enum is a special class look like and okay, whenever you are defining any enum is a special class, you can say. And if you are defining any class, generally you can define a constructor inside, a method inside, and different value. So this is a class which help us to declare the set of constants. And enum is just like a user defined data types. Just like a primitive data type, integer, char, var. Similarly, user-defined data types, class, array. So similarly, enum is one kind of data types which help us to your type safety as well as. And your uh, enum can have, you can define fields, method, constructors. And whenever you are defining any enum, by default the enum have some methods like value methods, ordinal methods, value of methods, name method, compare to method, to string methods, multiple methods by default you are getting in your enum. One major things is that key, whenever you are defining enum, by enum can implement an interface. So your enum can implement interface, and enum implicitly extend the class java.lang.Enum class. The, this enum class by default internally extending the enum class. So one class extended to another class in short that your enum cannot extend class because this is already extended from your enum class. Enum is an abstract class java.lang.Enum, and enum allow to define constructor, field, and method as well as. Okay, so now let us discuss. Here I'm going to discuss two how we can define enum and what how to access. Yeah, what are the use of enum? Okay, so you first things you can define enum inside your class as well as your outside of class. So let's get defining enum. For defining enum, we have to use the keyword enum, and after that start and curly brace. And inside here you have to give the your name. That's key direction. Your directions name. Okay. So what kind of possible direction? East, west, north, south. So these four, so this is the syntax you can define. Now this is your enum is defined. You are using the enum, your keyword, your enum name, directions, and this directions. What are the possible values of these directions? The possible value east, west, north and south. These force are, you can say, like a constants. By default these are the finals and statics. Okay, static means these are accessed directly from uh, your enum name or a class name. Enum by default this is your class. They are by default implemented your java.lang.Enum class as well as. So first, how to define enum? We can define enum using the enum keywords, and after that enum name, and start curly brace and close, and all the possible uh, constants a value in direction can you can define here. Oh, internally east is a one object, west is a one object, north is a one object, south is a one object. This is, you can say this is a four constants objects that hold by enum. So how to use this enum? If you want to use this enum, you have to use the directions and dot. Which enum you want? East, west, east. So this way you are access your enum. If you are south, and you can run. So here you are getting east. Okay, first things you have by default these are the values you have, and you want to uh, get all these values. If you want to access all the value of this, so you have to use the method your directions dot values. The values help us to declare your all the values. If you sometime you want to print all these constant, what number of constant available, so you can use the volumes, and here you can just uh, iterate it dot stream dot for each direction as out, and you have to print. So here you are able to print all the directions. Here print all the directions, four directions. And here they are provide some inbuilt method as by default uh, like d dot you can get value the name. This is the one name methods you can get name. Similarly, you can also get ordinal. Ordinal you can get name compared to ordinal has code. Uh, dot. So this way dot name ordinal compare to you can also compare one direction to another direction. Equal method has code get notify it. So this way. Let's so these are the name methods return the names and your ordinals is just like the whenever you are declaring in array and all the array index start from 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, sometimes if you want uh, each object they have a some default value 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. I want to change the each object have some different value, not east like the east west north south. I want to see the here as enum provide you can declare constructor as well as the here I can define constructor and let's key a string, let's key value, and you can define the private private string value, and here value equal to v. And now you can also define method public string get value, and you can return your value. So whenever whenever you whenever you define any variable or constructor or methods, these all are up, up are the attributes or method for these four objects. So you notice these are showing error. That means each object, these directions have a one argument constructor. That means ki whenever you are creating the object of this class, you have to pass this value. Here we have created the object here, but we are not passing this value. Similarly, here we are creating the object but not passing the values. That means ki we have to pass here some what string value. So let's here passed, and this is that means if you identify कि these are the variable constructors or method, and these are the object of this enum class have a these attributes, this constructor and this variable. These are a predefined set of object. This is the one enum object, another object, another object, another object. So whenever you are creating the direction object, a direction have a constructor. In the constructor we have to pass the value. Similarly, in the constructor we have to the pass value. But here we are creating object of directions, but not passing any new keyword. But this is the special class. They special class. Enum is a special class which allow us, you can declare constants, yeah, object in the form of finals and constant. All are the finals. Whenever these object created, you have to pass this respective constructor value. Okay, and each now whenever you are getting a one object, now if you notice here we have a another function like our customize value d dot get value. My this is the public method which I have defined. So each enum object have this defined get value. If you run it, here you are notice I am get my own value, and this is the each object have a own value. Okay, so when the enum allow us, we can define any attributes, constructors and a method. So whenever you are defining any constructor, those constructor argument we have to pass while declaring the enum object. Okay, so here we have a declaring by defining enum constant, enum constant, enum constant, enum constant, or this direction enum have a constructor with one argument. So one argument we have to pass here, one argument we have to pass here, one argument we have to pass here. So be careful whenever you are defining constructors. At that time, all the define your constants should have passed those constructors. And after that, each enum object can have these methods. Similarly, we have look here. Okay, so generally enums are used where you are want to define the constant, and that constant you know, and if you want to that kind of thread safety as well as. Okay, and generally enum can use where you are checking if else variables or a switch case. Similarly, let's say I want to apply some switch case here. Uh, let's uh, uh, i'm direct I'm a one switch case, and here your let's key I'm a directions, let directions. Okay, and here directions, as per the directions you have to maybe here you have to assign direction dot let's key south, and here you have to case. So let's write the two-way case colon uh, s out s out east, and after that we have to break. Similarly, you have to west. Similarly, north, north, south, and case default default case. So this is the way you can uh, generally use the in a switch case. In switch case here, generally you have to use any integral data types like integer, or you can use character is unsigned integers. So here you can use. Now you can also use the enum object, because enum is a constant and all the possible constants we are passing in the case here. If you run it, here is south, we have passed here south, direction south. So this is the one way to writing the switch, and this is known as a switch statement, where we have to pass case and we have to break the each statement. If you are not breaking, they are continue to test all the conditions. So from if Java 12 onward, we have option switch with the lambda expressions in. And now if and that uh, this switch known as a your statement switch statement and Java 12 onward, we have option we can use switch as a expression expression. So statement does not return any value, but expression are able to return value, and that value can be hold in variables or can return types. So for that, if you want to return this value, okay. So instead of writing this, we can write same like here a string return value, and then we write a switch, and here pass your directions, and then directions we have to case is return uh, is case west west case north north case south south. This way to write the and now you get the return value, what kind of values return. So whatever the value direction pass according to the case match and return this value. So this you can use the lambda expression here to get the concise way of writing switch expressions. Now you are getting the south value. If you look these old styles of writing switch expression, switch statement, this is a switch statement, they does not return any evaluation value. Instead of you have to manually break here. This is the switch statement, switch expression, switch statement. The switch expression allow us switch this returns value as well as the what value you pass here match with the specific condition. If any condition match here, you don't need any break. Those directions with match any of this, if this match south, they return by default, this value are returned to you. Okay, so using lambda expression you are writing code so concise and really needed things. Here you have to write unnecessary code like break and case. And here let's one things, if I let's just not comment here, if comment here, still this code is working, you are able to run, not an issue. Okay, but what happen if the direction south come, you have to get default case. But here if I'm just comment out this, and now your compiler enforce that key, your code compilation break. Switch expression does not cover all the possible input value. So you know this is the enum have a predefined set of object. So this switch expression evaluated, you have not covered all the cases. So here compile time you are getting exception error, you are not, your code is not compiled. So you have to cover all your cases so that you always get the actual value here. Okay, and if sometime uh, if you want to another way, if you want some, this is if only one statement by default, this statement will return. If you want to work with the more than one statement, then similar example again. Return value I am taken where here, let's here I want to like in the case of here I want to uh, not here like curly brace, and here I want to sop in case of SOU south, and then I want to, then we have to return here. For return we have keyword keyword, and then south. Any kind of operation you are doing some operation in case do any set of operations, and in last we have case default are expected case default default let's key -1. So in this way you have returns what case default are okay. So this is not needed. We have already covered all. We have already covered all the cases. And now S out here return value. And Here you can also, in case of south, do some operation, return your return value. Here let's say I want to return here I want to return number. Yeah, I want, so you have to return here 1 2 3 number. They can return number as well as, if you pass here direction equal to direction dot let's key west, and if you run, they return 1 2 3 4. The any kind of values you are able to returns here, and maybe string, maybe value here 1 2 3, here returns, here 1 2 3 returns. Okay, so this switch expression help us to, okay, so I'm leave it change. So whenever you are going to uh, write switch cases, uh, try to write as a switch expression. Switch expression, this is help us to write very coarse concise, and at the compile times your compiler ensure that you have covered all the possible enums value as well as, okay. So this way, this is, there are lots of use case of enum, and in the case of you can do your own research, and but this is the concise some points you have to consider while writing enums. So first thing we have to consider, enum are used to define a set of finals object, and, okay, that number of a possible value, you know, already know, you can define here. And first thing, enums define the set of fixed set of objects or constants, and they are a special class. And this also define, you can define inside your constructor define, field define, method define, some default value automatic get values, ordinal value of names compared to string. These are the method. And finally your this enum is a kind of a special class. They cannot extend any other class, because this class is internally, they are extended from your java.lang.Enum class, and so due to that this enum class is not extend to any another class, okay, as per the java rule. But this is the class, then they can implement the interface, they can extend the interface, they can implement or extend the interface, okay. And so these are the some points you have to. And whenever you are defining a constructor, okay, and the constructor argument, that constructor argument you have to pass while declaring your constants, okay. This is the object, this is the object of the direction class. A direction class have a constructor, then you have to pass this constructor value at the while declaring object. Here we are declaring object of direction, but this is the special class, so we are not using the new keyword, but these are the object, and that object of static and final. You can here, you can access your any object, static object from the your direction dot your, this is the one object you are access. This is the static, and this is the final. And now this is your thread shape, okay. Sometime you can say someone ask, you can write a singleton class, you can use the enum while writing a class singleton, and in this you just like enum singleton, okay. I here instance, okay. So here either this enum is a singleton, singleton, uh, singleton dot instance. Okay, and S out, and whatever method you are defining, this way you can do create a singleton object as well as. So this singleton object enum, and this is a thread safe, and in this current JVM only one object is created. Here we are declaring only one constant variable. Okay, so enum are generally used while if you want to create singleton object, you can also take the help of enum from java 1.5. If you want to create singleton, just use enum to create a singleton class. That means ki one class have only an object. Here our direction class have a four object. I know previously I want to four object, then you have to create the singleton. So sometime you want to create a class, but you want to limit a fixed number of object. I want to create the object of two or three or four. These four objects are you can create using the help of your enum. Or you want to create the only one object, so we have declared only one object, means this class have a created only one object. And in this class you can define variable, you can constructor, you can method, each and everything you can place here. So enum help us to first declaring the fixed defined set of constants or fixed defined set of object. Okay, hope it is useful, and you from your perspective you want to learn more, you have to explore and write some code of the writing your own enum, and do some testings and try to use like enum in a switch expression, switch statement. And also you can while you are making some design implementation, some design pattern like singleton, or you can you are if you're going to use a factory, the enums are help us to define fixed defined set of object. Okay, it's complete from my side. Hope it is useful for you. Thank you for watching this video.